About 11 o'clock the master took his meal, the offerings from temple of Kali. After taking his noonday rest, he resumed his conversation with the devotees. Every now and then he uttered the holy word Om or repeated the sacred names of the deities. After sunset, the evening worship was performed in the temples. Since it was the day of Vijaya, the devotees first saluted the Divine Mother and then took the dust of the master's feet. Tuesday, October 24, 1882. It was 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The master was standing near the shelf where the food was kept when Balram and M arrived from Calcutta and saluted him. Sri Ramakrishna said to them with a smile, "I was going to take some sweets from the shelf, but no sooner did I put my hand on them than a lizard dropped on my body. At once I removed my hand. All laugh. Oh yes, one should observe all these things. You see, Rakhal is ill and my limbs ache too. Do you know what's the matter? This morning as I was leaving my bed, I saw a certain person whom I took for Rakhal. All laugh. Oh yes, physical features should be studied. The other day Narendra brought one of his friends, a man with only one good eye. Though the other eye was not totally blind, I said to myself, what is this trouble that Narendra has brought with him? A certain person comes here, but I can't eat any food that he brings. He works in an office at a salary of 20 rupees and earns another 20 by writing false bills. I can't utter a word in his presence because he tells lies. Sometimes he stays here 2 or 3 days without going to his office. Can you guess his purpose? It is that I should recommend him to someone for a job somewhere else. Balram comes from a family of devout Vaishnavas. His father, now an old man, is a pious devotee. He has a tuft of hair on his head, a rosary of tulsi beads round his neck, and a string of beads in his hand. He devotes his time to the repetition of God's name. He owns much property in Orissa and has built temples to Radha Krishna in Kothar, Vrindavan and other places, establishing free guest houses as well. To Balram, a certain person came here the other day. I understand he is the slave of that black hag of a wife. Why is it that people do not see God? It is because of the barrier of woman and gold. How impudent he was to say to you the other day. A Paramhamsa came to my father who fed him with chicken curry. In the present state of my mind, I can eat a little fish soup if it has been offered to the Divine Mother beforehand. I can't eat any meat, even if it is offered to the Divine Mother, but I taste it with the end of my finger, lest she should be angry. Laughter. Well, can you explain this state of my mind? Once I was going from Burdwan to Kamarpukur in a bullock cart when a great storm arose. Some people gathered near the cart. My companions said they were robbers. So I began to repeat the names of God, calling sometimes on Kali, sometimes on Rama, sometimes on Hanuman. What do you think of that? Was the master hinting that God is one but is addressed differently by different sects? Master to Balram, Maya is nothing but woman and gold. A man living in its midst gradually loses his spiritual alertness. He thinks all is well with him. The scavenger carries a tub of night soil on his head and in course of time loses his repulsion to it. One gradually acquires love of God through the practice of chanting God's name and glories. To M, one should not be ashamed of chanting God's holy name. As the saying goes, one does not succeed so long as one has these three, shame, hatred and fear. At Kamarpukur they sing Kirtan very well. The devotional music is sung to the accompaniment of drums. To Balram, have you installed any image at Vrindavan? Balram, yes sir, we have a grove where Krishna is worshipped. Master, I have been to Vrindavan. The Nidhu grove is very nice indeed. Chapter 5. The Master and October 27, 1882. Master's boat trip with Keshav. It was Friday, the day of the Lakshmi Puja. Keshav Chandra Sen had arranged a boat trip on the Ganges for Sri Ramakrishna. About 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the steamboat with Keshav and his Brahmo followers cast anchor in the Ganges alongside the Kali temple at Dakshineshwar. The passengers saw in front of them the bathing ghat and the Chandni. To their left in the temple compound stood 6 temples of Shiva, and to their right another group of 6 Shiva temples. The white steeple of the Kali temple, the tree tops of the Panchvati, and the silhouette of pine trees stood high against the blue autumn sky. The gardens between the 2 Nahabads were filled with fragrant flowers, and along the bank of the Ganges were rows of flowering plants. The blue sky was reflected in the brown water of the river, the sacred Ganges associated with the most ancient traditions of Aryan civilization. The outer world appeared soft and serene, and the hearts of the Brahmo devotees were filled with peace. Master in Samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna was in his room talking with Vijay and Harlal. Some disciples of Keshav entered. Bound before the master, they said to him, "Sir, the steamer has arrived. Keshav Babu has asked us to take you there." A small boat was to carry the master to the steamer. No sooner did he get into the boat than he lost outer consciousness in Samadhi. Vijay was with him. M was among the passengers. As the boat came alongside the steamer, all rushed to the railing to have a view of Sri Ramakrishna. Keshav became anxious to get him safely on board. With great difficulty, the master was brought back to consciousness of the world and taken to a cabin in the steamer. Still in an abstracted mood, he walked mechanically, leaning on a devotee for support. Keshav and the others bowed before him, but he was not aware of them. Inside the cabin there were a few chairs and a table. He was made to sit on one of the chairs, Keshav and Vijay occupying 2 others. Some devotees were also seated, most of them on the floor, while many others had to stand outside. They peered eagerly through the doors and windows. Sri Ramakrishna again went into deep samadhi and became totally unconscious of the outer world. As the air in the room was stuffy because of the crowd of people, Keshav opened the windows. He was embarrassed to meet Vijay, since they had differed in certain principles of the Brahmo Samaj, and Vijay had separated himself from Keshav's organization, joining another society. The Brahmo devotees looked wistfully at the master. Gradually he came back to sense consciousness, but the divine intoxication still lingered. He said to himself in a whisper, "Mother, why have you brought me here? They are hedged around and not free. Can I free them?" Did the master find that the people assembled there were locked within the prison walls of the world? Did their helplessness make the master address these words to the Divine Mother? God dwells in devotee's heart. Sri Ramakrishna was gradually becoming conscious of the outside world. Neel Madhav of Ghazipur and a Brahmo devotee were talking about Pahari Baba. Another Brahmo devotee said to the master, "Sir, these gentlemen visited Pahari Baba. He lives in Ghazipur. He is a holy man like yourself." The master could hardly talk. He only smiled. The devotee continued, "Sir, Pahari Baba keeps your photograph in his room." Pointing to his body, the master said with a smile, "Just a pillowcase." The master continued, "But you should remember that the heart of the devotee is the abode of God. He dwells no doubt in all beings, but he especially manifests himself in the heart of the devotee. A landlord may at one time or another visit all parts of his estate, but people say he is generally to be found in a particular drawing room. The heart of the devotee is the drawing room of God." Attitude of Jnanis and Bhaktas. He who is called Brahman by the Jnanis is known as Atma by the Yogis and as Bhagwan by the Bhaktas. The same Brahmin is called priest when worshipping in the temple and cook when preparing a meal in the kitchen. The Jnani, sticking to the path of knowledge, always reasons about the reality, saying, "No, not this, not this. Brahman is neither this nor that. It is neither the universe nor its living beings." Reasoning in this way, the mind becomes steady. Then it disappears and the aspirant goes into samadhi. This is the knowledge of Brahman. It is the unwavering conviction of the Jnani that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory. All these names and forms are illusory, like a dream. What Brahman is cannot be described. One cannot even say that Brahman is a person. This is the opinion of the Jnanis, the followers of Vedanta philosophy. But the Bhaktas accept all the states of consciousness. They take the waking state to be real also. They don't think the world to be illusory, like a dream. They say that the universe is a manifestation of God's power and glory. God has created all these: sky, stars, moon, sun, mountains, ocean, men, animals. They constitute His glory. He is within us, in our hearts. Again, He is outside. The most advanced devotees say that he himself has become all this, the 24 cosmic principles, the universe and all living beings. The devotee of God wants to eat sugar, not to become sugar. All laugh.